IT manager for Permit Sonoma. I've got a few folks with me on the call as panelists, so let me go around and introduce them. We've got Nathan Quarles, who is our deputy director.
Morning.
And you will hear from Nathan in a moment. I'll toss things off to him for a bit of an introduction. We also have Brad Cannon, who is our building division manager. We have Alex Rosas, who is our engineering and well and septic division manager. We also have Bradley Dunn, who is our communications specialist and policy manager. Boy, I lost that for a second. Sandra Luce is on the call with us. She's a project coordinator on my team for the IT side of things. And then we have Seth Axelm, who is actually with, or I'm sorry, Axthelm. I got the mispronunciation there. He is with ePermit Hub, and they are the provider that actually maintains and builds the digital plan room software that we are using. And it looks like we also have Brian Kiefer here, who is our ombudsman for the department. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Give you a quick description of what we're here to cover today. So we are implementing a new technology. It's actually already in place for a couple of our permit types. It's called the digital plan room. And basically what the digital plan room is it's a technology that allows us to manage all of the review, the comments that go out, the revisions and resubmittals that come back, and ultimately the electronically stamped set of approved plans and reviewed documents, that sort of thing. And so it's a plug-in into our permitting software application. Our permitting software application is called Excella. For those of you who don't already know what that's called, but the digital plan room is fully integrated with Excella, and it brings all of those review processes into our permit system. And so welcome to everybody who's joined us today. As a matter of housekeeping, we're going to keep all attendees will be muted throughout the presentation today. We will not be unmuting anybody to speak other than the panelists. And so we expect that you might actually have some questions along the way. And so if you look at the bottom of your screen, you have a button that's labeled Q&A. And so that is the place to address questions. You'll post your questions there. And as we go through the program, myself and some of the other panelists that are here will go through and answer those questions as best we can as we go through. Please don't use the chat function. That chat function will not be monitored throughout the program. We'll be monitoring the question and answer capabilities within here. At the end of the session, we'll capture the question and answer stuff, and we will either develop a frequently asked question page online or kind of send a collection of the questions that were asked and the answers that are provided, especially if we're unable to answer some of the questions during the actual program today. So you'll see something that'll come back to all of the attendees after the fact that addresses all those. So you don't feel the need to turn your attention away from the content of the program and monitor all the question and answers unless you've got something that you want to add to that there. There is also another one of these sessions, which will just be a carbon copy of this session that will be conducted on May 4th. And so if you have any colleagues that weren't able to make it today and that you think there'd be value in them attending, there's still an opportunity to sign up for the May 4th presentation, and the details of that are on our website. Also, the session is being recorded. And so this session and the next session will be recorded. And so even if you're unable to attend either of the sessions, then there'll be an opportunity for you to take a look at what was discussed later at your own leisure. So with that, I think those are the kind of the housekeeping things. And so I'm going to turn it over to Nathan Quarles, again, our deputy director, and he'll get us going. Nathan.
Thanks, Tom. Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. I mean, first off, the digital plan room is changing how we do business. So it's very important that we host these type of trainings, and it's important that our clients get to know the system and get trained up on how to use it. So as I mentioned, it is changing how we do business. And in our view, we think it's going to bring much needed efficiency to our work. It will lead to faster turnaround times, which benefits the clients as well as the county. One big way it's changing the way we do business is that correction letters technically will be a thing of the past. And what I mean by that is all our comments and markups will be displayed in the digital plan room. They could be viewed real time if you're in the system on our dashboard and viewing your plans. You can see the text and the comments be made if you happen to be in there while we're doing that. But the comments can be addressed immediately, so you could reply to those. Typically the way it's going to work is we'll write our markups. You'll come in a day or two later, a week later. You'll see the comments. You can address those immediately. What is a little different is that the resubmission of the plans is going to wait until all the divisions and all the reviews have been completed. This ensures that we maintain version control over the plan sets and that staff are looking at the most updated set of plans. And so those are the highlights that I wanted to mention. And now I'm going to turn it off to Seth to get into the details of the digital plan room.
Thank you, Nathan. And real quickly, Bradley, can you enable me so I can share my screen? It looks like it's disabled.
Should be good to go.
There we go. Quick technology check. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, we are.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nathan. We're excited to take you through this training for the digital plan room this morning. What you can expect to see here is we are going to take you through the following topics. So we're going to start from the very beginning as far as submitting your application and how your documentation upload is going to go. So we'll take you through that initial uploading of plans and supporting documents. Once you have submitted, there'll be an opportunity for the permit techs to be able to do an intake analysis of completeness and sufficiency. If there is anything missing or anything you need to address before we move forward to plan check, you'll be able to receive communication by email and update any requested items that were found right from Permit Sonoma. So we'll show you how that communication will be received and how you can make those updates. Like Nathan mentioned, you will be notified as the various discipline reviews have been completed. So you can begin reviewing those plan review comments and preparing your narrative responses for those. And then at the end of a cycle of plan review, meaning that all reviews for that particular cycle are completed, the digital plan room will be opened back up for you to go ahead and upload any corrections that may be required based on those plan review comments. So we'll take you through that as well. And then finally, once we get to code compliant plan review and we move forward to permit issuance and all requirements have been met at that point, we'll see the communication that will notify you that your plans, your approved plans and supporting documents are available for you to download and where you can find those out there on Permit Sonoma. Just to reiterate, as we go along today, please put any of your questions in the Q&A. There will be several panelists that will be monitoring that Q&A that'll try to answer those questions in line. Every couple of minutes, I will check in with the panelists to see if there are any questions that we want to discuss as a group. So that's another way that we'll get those questions answered. And with that, let's go ahead and get started with that initial submission of our application and the steps we'll go through to submit our documentation associated to that application. So I am out here in a test environment that we can do our demonstration on. So I'm going to start out by checking out my outstanding applications. And in preparation for this training, I went ahead and started an application that I saved earlier so that we can very quickly click through the screens of the application and begin our upload process. So I'm filling out an application here. I'm going to click through. I've already defined my address, parcel, and owner details. I've listed myself as an applicant as a part of this application. And I've provided the specific information for this particular application type already. And then, as you all are probably very familiar by now, as we scroll down through here, I have an opportunity to review my application information prior to submitting. And now I'm going to go ahead and click continue application. And once this application submits, you'll be prompted to go ahead and upload all of our plans and supporting documents. So one of the first changes that you're going to notice is that when we get to that confirmation screen letting us know that our application has been submitted, we will have an area right here letting us know that we can click on this upload plans and documents button to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. And what this is going to do is this is going to open up the digital plan room. So the digital plan room is the new software that the county team has been working hard to implement. And as Tom mentioned earlier, it is fully embedded within Permit Sonoma. So you'll be able to access it through the same logging into Permit Sonoma. You won't have to jump out to a separate portal. It's all right here. So as we get started uploading our plans and documents, we are going to do so inside of something called a review package. A review package is a multi-step set of screens that'll allow us to upload our documents and some additional information about our submittal all together and send that to the county. You can think of a review package as essentially a file folder, an electronic file folder that we've created. And one of these packages will be opened up for each cycle of plan review that you might participate from within. So to get us started, we're currently on cycle number 1 from a review package perspective, in that it's the initial submission of those plans and documents. Up top here, very similar to filling out an application for a permit, you'll see that there are multiple steps here. And these 4 steps will be highlighted yellow for the current step and turn green once completed and let you know at what step you are in the overall process. So at step 1, we're just going to go ahead and take a look, and we are going to enter a description for this package I'm about to submit. Okay, so just a brief description here. Go ahead and click continue. Step 2 is more of your traditional upload screen. So at this point, I can either drag the documents from my computer, so I can drag them. So I'll pick a couple here. And then once I've dragged them onto the screen, I have to provide some additional information so we know what is inside of each of those documents. So I'm going to mark each of these as construction plans. And then further clarify context using the description right here. Once I have uploaded or selected my files, selected the document type that they represent, and provided the description, I can go ahead and click this update, upload, and validate button. So at this time, it's going to begin the upload process into Permit Sonoma. But in addition to that, it's also going to go through what's called a validation process. So at this step, we're going to do a real-time check to make sure that there's no issues with any documents that were provided that would prevent us from moving forward with the process. the most common things that you might run into with a document that you're uploading are either the file might be corrupted. So when you're uploading your PDF plans or supporting documents, if that file happens to be corrupted, either the entire file or a portion of the file, it will in fact be rejected. And it'll be rejected and it'll let you know that there is some sort of file corruption. And we'll give you that instant feedback so that you know right away that you can go take the necessary steps to maybe generate those plans from your design software, or get it from your licensed professional so you can re-upload it right away. So you'll get that instant feedback. Other things that might lead to a file being rejected would be various types of file encryption as well. One of the most common types of encryption would be putting a password on your PDF file. Obviously, if we don't have the password, we can't use the file. So you'll be alerted to the fact that there's a password and then we can't use that file as well. So pay attention to the messages at the top. You'll notice that it's going to tell us what the issue is up here. The file happens to be encrypted, file happens to be corrupted, and then there'll be a tooltip that'll give us a little bit more information about that particular issue and what steps I might be able to take to go ahead and resolve that issue. So keep an eye out for that, and that'll help you know right away that there's an issue that needs to be addressed, so that you can go ahead and take those next steps. If I do have any rejected files, I will not be able to move from step 2 to step 3 in the overall process. If the button at the bottom right will be grayed out and I won't be able to move forward. So if I do have any rejected files, I can click the trash can icon here. If I click that, it's going to give me a confirmation. Are you sure you want to remove this file? And I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And I'm going to actually end up removing both of these files. And I'm back to having an empty review package here at step 2. Before I go ahead and upload any documents that I know to not have any issues, I want to check in with the team and see if there's any questions that have been asked that you guys want to discuss out loud, or if you have already addressed those in the Q&A.
I think we're good so far, Seth. I'm answering the questions as we go along so far. Thanks for
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you very much. All right, so last time I dragged and dropped files onto my screen. I can also click the browse here as well. And I've got a folder with some files already ready to go. And so I'm going to go ahead and select all of these and click open. So this time I clicked browse and then navigated to the folder where my files are and selected them. And then as I come down here, I can go ahead and select the appropriate document types again. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll provide my description. And I can go ahead and hit upload and validate. Now, before I do that, I want to draw your attention to the requirements section over in the upper right here as well. Dependent on the type of application that you are applying for, as well as information that you included in that application, this requirements section is going to dynamically put together a list of document types that are expected to be included in the review package as a part of this initial submission. So we can see here I'm requiring a drainage report, some grading plans, supplemental form, and a calculation document. You'll see here that some are highlighted in red, some are in yellow. Any of these listed in red are absolutely required to be able to submit my review package. So if I have not uploaded anything in red, I will not be able to finalize my package and ultimately submit my review package to the county. So let's see what happens as I click upload and validate. As a file validates successfully, we saw it previously turn red and say rejected. As it validates successfully, this time it's going to turn green. And then when it validates, if it does in fact satisfy one of the requirements over here on the right, we will see those begin to change from the red or the yellow and show with a green check mark. So let's go ahead and upload and validate.
Hey, Seth. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sir.
But there was a question that just came up that I don't know the answer to. And so I thought I'd pose that here. Is there a limitation on characters in the file name when uploading? I assume there is, but I don't know.
There is a limitation of about 100 characters, I believe, and that's not a plan room limitation. That is actually a limitation in the Excel software. So, so try to stay within 100 characters if you can. And whenever possible, it's always best to try to avoid special characters in the file name. Things like extra periods or ampersands, things like that. So try to avoid as many special characters as you can in addition to that.
Thank you.
Okay. So as we can see, while we were chatting on the file name length, our files that were uploaded into the review package went ahead and validated successfully. And if they did happen to satisfy a requirement that was listed, those also got checked off. So in our case, we have fully checked off all of our requirements when submitted. Now, if we want to take another look, we saw earlier that on the far right, there's a trash can icon, and we use that to remove a file that had issues that we wanted to replace. So we can remove files from a review package if we need to swap out a file, for example. But in addition to that, there's also this pencil icon that we can click. And what that pencil icon does is that allows us to change the document type that we selected from the drop-down list in case we selected the wrong one under the initial upload. So I can come in here and select the correct one here. And I'm going to leave everything as is for now. But if you did inadvertently select the wrong document type and you notice it before you move forward, you can use that pencil icon to edit the document type. And then we'll be able to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to go ahead and click Process Files. Now, Process Files is going to allow us to move between step 2 and step 3 of the review package submittal. And so what's going to happen at the Process Files step is we're going to take any plans that have been uploaded and any supporting documents. Both need to be uploaded in a PDF file format. And for any plans that have been uploaded, we're going to go ahead. Well, I'm sorry, for both plans and supporting documents, we're going to convert those PDFs into a web-based format that the plan reviewers are going to be able to interact with very easily on their end from their workstations. And then for any plans that are submitted, we're going to take apart and pull apart all the pages in any files containing plans into the individual sheets. And then we're going to use an automated sheet number identification process to identify the sheet numbers for each individual sheet. And we're going to use that sheet number to uniquely identify each sheet. And we do this because from this point going forward, we are going to version plans at the page level or at the sheet level using that sheet number. What that allows us to do when it comes to the point, if there are any plan review comments that we need to address, at that point, when we resubmit, we do not have to put together a full set of plans again. We're going to want to encourage you to only upload the sheets that have corrections or changes on them as a part of your resubmittal. The system will again use an automated process to identify the sheet number and then be able to accurately version your sheets based on that sheet number. That'll make it very easy for the plan reviewers to identify what has changed or what has been added. So their review will be quite efficient, and it will be easier on you. Instead of putting together an entire plan set, you could focus on just providing the plan sheets that have changed. Now, from a submittal process or the automated sheet number identification process, the system has multiple different ways to identify those sheet numbers. But the number one most accurate way for your sheet numbers to be identified automatically is to include a table of contents on the PDF file itself as a part of your plans. In many of the different design softwares, when you're completing the function to export to PDF, one of the export options is typically to create bookmarks or create a table of contents. And we encourage you to select that. And then that'll add a table of contents to your PDF itself. And then that will have a very accurate identification of sheet numbers as the overall process. In fact, I want to bring up another slide here from a sheet number recommendation. So definitely use a table of contents whenever possible. If you happen to number your sheets numerically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we very strongly encourage you to use a table of contents, as that is the best way that the system will be able to identify those numeric only sheet numbers. Within the table of contents, the best format to use is to put the sheet number first for each page, followed by a sheet title optionally. If you're not using a table of contents, the system's automated identification of those sheet numbers will have much higher accuracy if you use an alphanumeric sheet numbering pattern to designate discipline, subdiscipline, followed by a number within that particular discipline. And one of the most important things to reiterate is when we get to our resubmittal, and I'll hit on this here in a little bit when we go through the resubmittal process, is to not change sheet numbers between submittals. This is important to maintain those plans continuing to be versioned correctly. So then it's very efficient for the plan checkers to be able to review those changes within the context of what was submitted before and what is currently being submitted. Okay, before I go forward, panelists, any questions we want to chat about?
Yeah, thank you, Seth. There's a question in the chat or in the Q&A about how to eliminate or remove sheets from a previously submitted plan set. The example here is, say, a portion of the project has been omitted. So I read this as, I submitted 12 sheets and I need to take 2 away. How would you handle that here?
So at this time, the customer does not have the ability to remove those. The easiest way to represent that would be to leave those sheets in, but potentially put them as blank or put an X so the reviewers know that those are to be removed. The reviewers do, in fact, have the ability, though, to discard those sheets if there's anything being removed as a part of the process.
Okay, and are you covering here, because we're still in the submittal part here, a way to just delete the entire set and then you could add another set with the reduced number of sheets at this point, right? That's still an option?
It is an option, and we can hit that at the resubmittal phase here in a little bit. Okay, any other questions, Tom?
Yes, hold on. So this one, sometimes additional sheets require modification based on comments to other sheets. Will additional sheets be allowed to be submitted even if they are not marked up by the plan checker?
Yes, they will not be restricted to only resubmitting sheets that were marked up. So additional sheets can be modified that may not have comments associated to them.
So, and this is a question that's come up in our own minds too, is if you're resubmitting and let's say your initial submittal had 12 sheets and you're resubmitting and your new one now has 14, how do you address that in the page numbering?
Ideally, you keep the previous sheet numbers intact in the resubmittal there. And if there are additional sheets being inserted, potentially use a nomenclature of one or .a so that they get inserted in the proper location within the sheets. But leave the previous sheets numbers unchanged, but use some sort of a suffix if you need to insert them. Otherwise, those sheets can be inserted at the end of the sheets that were previously submitted.
Thank you.
Okay, we good to proceed, Tom?
I think so, yes.
Okay, great. Now, going from that step 2 to step 3, we had a progress bar that was going to show us the progress in processing those files. Typically, that file processing for an average size project will be in the neighborhood of about 30 seconds. Sometimes it could be a little bit quicker for a very small submittal, and sometimes it can be a bit longer if we have a high number of sheets or many documents or documents containing a high number of pages. It can go a little bit longer. Now you can either just stay and wait for it to complete, but be aware that the system will also shoot you an email when that file processing is complete. So if you did have to navigate away and work on something else, you will get a reminder notification that you can head back in and complete your review package submittal once that file processing is complete. So here's an example of what that email looks like. So it's going to let you know file processing is complete for a reference application number here. A lot of the emails that you're going to be receiving asking you to take the next step in the process are going to have several links throughout those emails. So for example, I can click here and it'll take me right back into Permit Sonoma and allow me to go ahead and take the next step. Now, we are in a comprehensive training today where we're going to go all the way through permit issuance and see what it looks like to get our approved documentation. But as these emails come out to you, we are also including some short tutorial videos that you can refer back to if you need a quick refresher on how to take the next step. So here we see a link to a video tutorial that if we click on that, that'll be about a 2 to 4 minute video taking me through a reminder how to do that. So you'll have this training, which is being recorded and you'll be able to refer back to, but you'll also have these links here at your fingertips to enable you to just get a quick refresher, especially if you don't submit on Permit Sonoma very often. So again, I can either click on this link or I can click the continue button to go from step 2 to step 3. Now, step 3 is going to go ahead and show me the results of that automated sheet number identification process. As I scroll down here, we'll see that 5 sheets were identified from the files that I uploaded. So I see each sheet represented by a different row. At the very top, we see an error has occurred, and it's telling me that a sheet number is required. So for us to move forward to the final step, 2 things need to be true. First, every sheet has to have a sheet number identified. And second, all sheets within a review package must have a unique sheet number. So we cannot have any duplicated sheet numbers as a part of this. Now, for each individual sheet listed here on a particular row, what we're going to see is the first 2 columns represent a thumbnail preview of the title block, if there is a title block on the document, and then a full page thumbnail preview of the overall sheet. Now, I can click on either one of these, and it'll go ahead and open up that particular sheet in a viewer, and I can use my mouse wheel to zoom, and I can click and drag to pan around if I just wanted to double check before we move forward. You'll also notice in the upper right-hand corner of the second column, there is a rotate sheet. We would love it if all of your plans and supporting documents were always rotated to the correct orientation. So if the file itself, let's say this sheet was upside down and I want to correct it before I submit, I can either go back to step 2 and upload a corrected document and replace it, or I can use a rotate sheet here to go ahead and rotate that sheet and correct the orientation. Now, as I come along to the middle column here, we'll see that the middle column says sheet number and title. And we're going to go ahead and see here that this first text box under the sheet number and title is empty and it's red. Earlier, I mentioned that every sheet must have a sheet number identified. So I can come in here and put in site plan. This happens to be like a survey file that does not have a sheet number. So the system was not able to automatically identify one. So I can go ahead and put that in place. The second text box under this particular sheet is for the sheet title. So if the table of contents did in fact have sheet titles, it will extract those out of the table of contents automatically. If it did not find one, or it acquired the sheet number outside of the table of contents, this might be blank, so you can optionally enter a sheet title if you like. And then the bottom piece of information right here is going to tell you which file and from which page this particular sheet was extracted. So we can see that this came from a file called site plan, the next 3 came from grading plans, and the final one came from a drainage report. So we see how we can fix it if there is a sheet number that was not entered. Now, if I need to fix anything, we saw that the first 2 text boxes here are editable. So I can correct any sheet numbers and I can enter in or correct any sheet titles if necessary. Now I'm going to go ahead and change this here. And what's going to happen is it's now going to identify that there are duplicated sheets. So if I go all the way to the top of the screen, the message up top is going to let me know that a particular sheet has been assigned more than once. In this case, it's A101, it's been assigned twice. And I can come down here and I only have 5 sheets in my submittal, so a very small submittal. So I can easily scroll through and see everything. Now, if I had many more sheets and several duplicates or anything like that, and I want to just filter out all the sheets that are identified correctly and just look at the errors, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a show only error sheets. I can toggle this right. I'm going to toggle that right. And it's just going to show me either sheets that do not yet have a sheet number entered in, or any sheet numbers that are duplicates. So in my case, I went ahead and made that duplicate myself. So I can come back in here and correct it to the correct sheet number. So if the sheet numbers are off based on the automated identification of those numbers and you need to correct them, it did not get them accurately, you can do that manually. Or if you do in fact have duplicates within this review package, you can always go back to step 2, fix it in the PDF itself, remove it from the package, and re-upload. Okay. Once I have made my corrections, if I still have the toggle on in the upper right, I can either turn it off from up here, but you'll notice instead of saying continue in the bottom right, it says show all sheets. So it is going to want me to turn off that filter so I can see all sheets, scroll through there, make sure everything looks good. And then I can click continue to take me to step 4 of the review package submittal. Step 4 is a review step. It's going to allow me to see what description did I put in at step 1, what requirements did I either meet or are still outstanding. Remember, if any of them are red, the finish button at the end here will be grayed out until you go back to step 2 and satisfy all requirements specified for that particular submittal. And then at the bottom here is a list of the files. So I've got the file name, the description that I typed in, the document type I selected from the dropdown, the current status, which meaning they're all processed in our case. And again, if I determined I miscategorized one of these, I want to go fix it, we have these edit buttons that'll take me back to the proper step in the review package submittal, so I can make those changes. And then ultimately I can click the finish button once everything looks good and I'm ready to officially submit it to the county for that intake review. Before I hit finish here, Tom, any questions we can address together?
No, I think we've caught up so far.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Once I do that, I'm going to get a message at the top letting us know that the review package has been successfully submitted. The county then gets alerted at the submittal of that review package. So for the county to be notified and for them to begin the review package has to be fully submitted. So I need to go through all 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, hit the finish button at the end. And that is what has it show up on the list of submittals that have been received by the customers and are ready for that particular intake review. We're also going to see that our review package has changed to a status of submitted. A submitted review package means that, well, to state the obvious, it has been submitted to the county. But furthermore, what that means is you can no longer make any changes to that package. So at this point, the plan room is not open for any more uploads or document submittals unless county staff reopens that back up for you. So once the county has an opportunity to go ahead and review both your application and your documents for completeness, for sufficiency, they may either say everything looks good, we have everything we need, we'll move it forward in the process for fee payment and move it towards getting that plan review started. Or you might receive an email that'll alert you to any deficiencies with your submittal. So if I head over to my email over here, I've got an example email right here. Let me close that. Example email right here, letting us know that there is additional information being requested. So we're just letting you know that we took a look and we have some additional information being requested. There's a section that says intake comments. And I've just got generic messages here just saying missing documents X, Y, and Z. But this is going to be a detailed description of what it is that that is outstanding from you that we need you to do to be able to move the process forward. Similar to the last email I showed you, there's lots of links that'll just take you right back to the proper spot in Permit Sonoma. So I can click on the link. This is the link right here. Please return to Permits Online to upload the project plans. And then over here is a tutorial, again, just on that initial uploading if you need a refresher on that. So I'm going to click on this link. It's going to take me back in here. And once I'm in here, I'm now back inside of the review package. So what happens is when they open up those comments as a part of intake, it actually changes the status of your review package from submitted to reopened. And when it changes to submitted to reopened, you can now go ahead and make any of the necessary changes that are outlined in those comments that you received in the email. And those comments are also going to be visible under this notice at the top here as well. So you'll get them in the email. You'll also get them inside of the review package as well. So then I could step through the 4-step process. So I'm going to be expected to step through all 4 steps again to be able to resubmit this review package that had issues during intake that we needed to address. So I can click continue. Keep an eye on the requirements over here as staff may adjust those based on maybe perhaps a unique nature of your application. So keep an eye on those. So you might need to add additional documents. So I can click browse, add additional documents. I might have to replace a document, so I can delete it from the package and upload the updated document based on the comments. They may ask you to correctly classify the document types. So maybe everything was uploaded under one document type and that's not correct. We want you to classify them accurately based on the content of what's in each particular file. So whatever changes I might need to make there, perhaps the comments are related to correcting any sheet numbering that might need to take place. So maybe I need to fix sheet numbering. Maybe I need to rotate. So again, you can rotate if you've already uploaded here, or you could correct it in the source PDF file and replace it at step 2. So I can make any of those particular changes as necessary. And then when I'm done, I can click continue. And then I will land back at step 4. Again, a quick opportunity to review what I'm about to submit, because once I hit the finish button, I'll no longer be able to make any changes to this particular package. So I'll go ahead and hit finish. And the package will now indicate that it's been received. The county staff will be alerted. They'll be able to review it. Again, if they still find anything that's incomplete, they'll let you know. You'll receive an email letting you know the details, and you'll go back and forth as many times as necessary to get to that complete application. And then once everything is complete, then the process will move forward through fee collection and ultimately be routed for review. Okay. Tom, it's a good spot to check in with you. How are we looking on questions?
Yeah, there is a question that I think we can address here. And it may be a combination answer between you, Seth, and potentially Alex. But the question is, does the processing step process documents besides plan sheets, such as drainage reports? And for us, Seth, drainage reports are considered documents. And if so, how does it identify separate pages on the sheets? In particular, what does it do to distinguish the 8.5 by 11 narrative pages from the 24 by 36 hydrology pre and post construction sheets? So I know Alex is probably familiar with that part, but I guess the question is how is it processing the document sheets differently than it's doing plan sheets?
So the system knows based on what you select in a dropdown to categorize the document being uploaded, whether it happens to be a plan sheet or any sort of supporting document. So some kind of a report, calculations, things like that. Only plan files are going to be taken apart into the individual sheets and have each sheet identified by the sheet number. For supporting documents, we will not be doing that page level versioning. So from a resubmittal perspective for non-plan files, you're going to be uploading the entire supporting document again. So while it is going through file processing, both plans and supporting documents are being converted into a web-based format for plan review. It's only those in the drop-down list that are considered plans that are going to be versioned at that page level. So I hope that helps answer that. I don't know if Alex has anything to add.
Yeah, let me chime in here, Seth and Tom. So what we have for drainage reports, a very common occurrence of the report itself is typically, the bulk of it is your 8.5 by 11 type plan or sheets, but there are supporting exhibits, plans that are things like hydrology maps. Those tend to be larger plan sizes, like 24 by 36. Ultimately, the drainage report, the 8.5 by 11 narrative, plus the 24 by 36 sheet sizes are combined into a PDF. They're uploaded as the drainage report, and they're uploaded as a calculation document. And the system will process the entirety of the PDF, even if it does have varying sheet sizes.
That's correct. Yeah, it will capture the original sheet sizes all within the same document, and it can have a mix of sheet sizes within that same document.
To piggyback a little bit on what was mentioned before, we strongly encourage our customers to make sure that the sheets are properly orientated before they upload. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I
Any
think we're good.
follow-ups, Tom, or any other additional questions?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, so at this point, once we move forward and we enter into plan review, the various participants from the county that will be reviewing for the various disciplines, the various departments, will be able to begin that plan review in parallel. With this being electronic and all web-based, they can all work forward on your plan review in parallel. And as Tom and Nathan mentioned earlier, as each individual reviewer completes their review, if they have happened to identify any items that they need a response from you on, and potentially any corrected documentation, as each individual review completes, you'll get an email notification letting you know that that review has been completed. And it'll let you know in the subject which review type it was that was completed. Also, it'll indicate down here in the email, as well as down here. So down at the bottom, or down in the middle here, we have a bulleted list that are links. We have one that says issues list, one that says conditions list. So plan review comments within this software are broken down into different flavors. Issues happen to be any plan review comments where we are going to require you to respond to them. And in addition to, if specified, provide a updated or corrected document satisfying that particular plan review comment. In other words, if you have any issues as a part of your plan review, you will be going through an additional cycle and resubmittal as a part of that process. Conditions are also plan review comments, but they are comments where we are not rejecting the plan review over this particular comment. These are typically conditions of approval, so something that might need to be satisfied at a later phase of the overall project. So I can come in here and when the grading review is complete, and I can click on the issues list. And that's going to take me right back into Permits Online. And once I'm in here in Permits Online, I will be on an Issues tab. So I don't know if you noticed, but previously we were on the Uploads tab. Now we've moved over to the Issues tab, and we also have a Condition and Notes. So all Issues, Conditions, and Notes tab all contain plan review comments, but those that you need to respond to will be found on the Issues tab. So we can see down here that I only have grading and stormwater comments at this point, because that's the only review that has completed. One thing I can bring your attention to is up here, we'll see the status of our review. So the status happens to be in review. So if I have issues that are down here in an open status, but the overall plan review status is in review, that is an indicator to let me know that I do have some comments that have been published to me that I can begin reviewing and begin responding to. But other reviews are still in progress, and I won't be able to, or in other words, the portal won't be opened back up for me to upload my resubmittal until those additional reviews have been completed. So we'll take a look at looking at issues here in a moment. What I'm going to do is we're going to return to looking at issues once the overall cycle has completed. So I can begin looking at stuff now, but I'm going to jump ahead to the end of a cycle. So at the end of the cycle, I'm going to potentially receive an email that says, my grading permit has corrections required. Okay, and here it's going to have an issues list. So it's not going to mention a particular discipline. So I can come down here, I can click on the issues list. We have a tutorial about responding to issues and how do I upload my revised plans. Right here in bold, this statement is letting us know that all issues require a response before I can complete my resubmittal. So for every issue, we're going to be looking for a response from you. And once you've provided all of those responses, you can finish your review package, go ahead and resubmit. So let's go ahead and click on the issues list now that the cycle has completed and all disciplines have completed their review. I'm going to click, it's going to take me right back in. And it looks similar, but this time I have some additional disciplines that have completed. In addition, the status up here says not approved. So what that means is the cycle is completed and there were issues. So we're looking for that response from you and then potentially uploading some documents to correct any of those items found in these particular issues. Now the list here is a table format. So I can actually click on any column header here that I might want to. So maybe I want to sort it by what the issue happens to be attached to, or by discipline, or by the order that it was created, anything like that. So I can sort the list here. In the upper right-hand corner here, in this blue greenish bar up here, we have a couple of icons. I have a filter icon, I have a print icon, and I have an issue reports icon. So if I zoom out here real quick, I can filter here by specific review disciplines. And I can have multiple if I so choose. So I can keep adding. I can also filter by statuses, and statuses will update as we start to respond. So I'll show you what that means here in a moment. So I can easily filter, and then I can click the X to remove that filter. If I want to export these issues, I have the ability to go to a print view. So this is a more tabular view where it's going to tell me the discipline, the current status of the issue title, and the issue description will show here. Attached to, so an issue can be associated to a specific plan sheet. An issue can be attached to a supporting document. Or if this happens to be blank, the issue can be associated to the overall project or permit application itself. So attached to a plan sheet, attached to a page in a supporting document, or to the project level itself. So I can click on the print button up here, and then it'll send it or open up my printer dialog box where I can go ahead and print it. That is one option. I can come to this next icon here, which is issue reports. So if I want, I can generate a issue report. Now, what is an issue report? An issue report is going to build on the fly a PDF of just the plan sheets and pages from supporting documents that issues were identified on. And so if I want to generate one of these PDFs, all I have to do is come in here and give it a simple name and then hit create. And it's going to spin there for a minute. And I've already got an issue report ready to go. So in the interest of time, so we can stay on schedule. And what we're going to end up with is a PDF, again, that if there are any issues that were not attached to a plan sheet or a page in the supporting document, it's going to insert all of those on page 1. And then if there are any issues, I'll be able to see the plan sheets that have those issues, and I'll see the markup. And if I hover over the markup, it'll show me the details or the comments related to that markup. So I can go from page to page from that perspective. Or if I open up the comments panel, because all of these markups are annotations, if I open up the comments panel, I'll see all those comments and I can click on any of them and it'll take me directly to that particular markup so I can review it. So I can export out into a tabular print where I can generate that PDF on the fly if that's helpful to share that with your project team. But ultimately, we are going to be providing our responses interactively right inside the portal right here. So I can click on any of these issues as well. And that's going to go ahead and open up whatever that issue is attached to. And it's going to show me a panel on the left. The panel on the left is going to have the title of the issue, the name of the plan reviewer. I happen to have been logged in as an admin, but this would be the actual name of the plan reviewer. The details of the issue will be visible right where I've highlighted right here. So this might be very detailed and could be many lines. It could be very large. And then right below, of whether we're expected to upload a corrected document with this or not. Okay. In the upper right-hand corner of this panel, there's this little magnifying glass right here. If we click that, that will zoom us in and navigate us to the area of the plan sheet that the plan reviewer wants to bring our attention to. So that'll be useful to bring your attention there. Right here, where it says applicant's response, this is where you're going to provide your narrative response to this particular issue. And you want to be as detailed as possible, help explain the corrections or the changes that you made to satisfy this specific issue. So once I've responded, I can go ahead and click save. And we'll notice that my issue changed from a status of open to answered. I am only able to provide responses or edit responses when an issue is in a status of open or answered. So if I've answered one, if I have not yet submitted my resubmittal just yet, I can click on it and update my response. But it's only in open and answered status am I able to provide those responses. If I click on one, this one happens to be an issue that was associated at the project level, so we didn't attach it to a particular sheet or page. We can come in here and we'll provide that there and then close out of there. If it's a supporting document, it's going to tell me which page of that document was the issue found. I can zoom in here just like a plan sheet and provide my response. And I can zoom in, provide my response. Okay, so now this is the last issue that requires a response. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save here. And once I do that, you'll be alerted at the top here that all issues have been responded to. You can return to the Uploads tab to go ahead and submit all your documentation. So I'm going to head back over to the Uploads tab. And what we're going to have here is a second cycle that has been automatically created for me. Now, in the interest of time, before our training today, I already went back in and uploaded some documents. I provided a description that indicated corrected sheets and documents. I uploaded my documents, so that same validation to make sure that we don't have any file corruption. We don't have any files that are encrypted. That check will all occur. You want to pay close attention to make sure that you're selecting the correct document type based on the file that you're uploading. So pay close attention to selecting the correct document type. And then we'll process. Now I've already processed. I processed this before our training, but that file processing will happen, which typically takes between 30 seconds to a minute to complete. Again, this is where we're converting your plans and your supporting documents. And then for those plans, that's where we're using our automated sheet number identification process. And it's on this page, it's going to show us those results. Now, since this happens to be a resubmittal, we have one additional column when it's showing us the results. Now, I uploaded 3 sheets as a part of this resubmittal. And this far right column has a title of previous version. Now, from a previous version perspective, what this is going to be is a thumbnail preview of the previous version. So I'm going to see one of 2 things here. I'm either going to see a thumbnail that says no previous version, meaning we were not able to match the sheet submitted with one that was previously submitted, or I'm going to see a thumbnail of the previous version of the sheet that matches that same sheet number already in the system. Now, in this case, it may be a valid scenario where I'm inserting some new sheets. So no previous version is exactly what I'm looking for. Or perhaps the automated sheet number identification did not grab it accurately and it got the wrong sheet number. If I want to fix the sheet number, I can either do it manually by typing it in here where I've highlighted, or we also have this additional icon here that says search sheets. If I click on that, zoom back out, it's going to show me a list of sheets that have been previously submitted that are not already in this package that I am resubmitting. So I could come in here and say, oh, it was actually supposed to be this one. And it'll link it up to that previous one for me. Now, in my case, this is actually a new sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to the previous sheet number. And then I'll be able to move forward towards submitting my review package. Just like we had last time, step 4 happens to be a review step. That review step will show me the description that I entered at step 1. We have a file section, so that's all the files that are included in this resubmittal. But in addition to that, we also have the issues section, because the responses to those comments are going to go along with the files and actually put those responses in line with those individual issues. So it's very easy for the reviewers to correlate your response with the correction that you provided in the form of the documents. Okay, so with that, before I hit finish, Tom, I'll check in with you on any questions that we want to discuss with the group.
I don't think so yet, although I've fallen a little behind, so I'm trying to catch up on the answers. So I'll let you know at the next break if there's something.
No worries.
So
That
far, I
sounds
think
good.
I'm trucking along.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click finish. And similar to what we saw last time, it's going to let us know that our review package has been received. We'll notice that the status of my project has flipped back to in review, meaning that it's been submitted. And at this point, those corrections will be reviewed. Any inserted sheets will be reviewed. The plan reviewers have a very easy way to identify any sheets that were added as a part of that. So if there are any additional issues that need to be addressed, then you'll get the same emails that we saw previously. And then once all reviews for that particular cycle are completed, you'll get an email that the cycle is complete and that you can begin responding to those comments and uploading your resubmittal. And you're going to potentially go through as many cycles as it takes to get to that code compliant review once all issues are addressed. And the plan review can move forward in the overall process towards permit issuance. So you'll go back and forth as many times as necessary responding to those issues. Now, once we get all the way to the point where the permit's been issued, any additional requirements have been satisfied, all fees have been paid, and your permit's been issued, you'll get an email that looks like this, letting you know that your application number has been approved. Similar to all the other emails, you'll have some tutorials about how to download approved documentation, as well as submit any revisions to approved plans. If I go ahead and click on download print set, that's going to take me back into the plan room. And previously we were on the uploads and issues tabs. Now we're over on the approved tab. So you're probably very familiar with the attachments section on your application. That will continue to have all the documents that you uploaded, even if you uploaded them through the digital plan room. So you could, in fact, get your approved documentation, your approved plans, as well as approved supporting documentation that might have been stamped. You can get those under attachments, but we also have this extra area called approved, which makes it very easy for you to find those approved documents. And from here, you can download. I'll go ahead and download this. I'm going to open that. But before we take a closer look at that, we'll take a look at, there's also a conditions tab and a notes tab. So issues we have seen, those are the interactive plan review comments that require response from you. And those dictate how many cycles of plan review you're going to go for. Conditions are plan review comments, again, where we're not going to reject you for something. It's going to be a comment that relates to something that may need to be satisfied at a later phase of the project. And you also might have notes as well. Notes are just informational comments that are not necessarily conditions. Now, when I look at my approved documentation, it's going to look like this. So up here, what we have is our approved plans. So if I scroll down a little bit, we'll have the plans that I uploaded and things like that. But what we're going to see at the very beginning of that document is if we have any conditions or notes that were not associated to a particular page in a supporting document or associated to a particular sheet on the plans, we'll call them project level conditions. Those will be inserted at the front, and then they will be grouped by discipline, and they'll be organized into this 3-column layout. And they will populate as many pages at the front of your approved plan document as necessary to get all the content in. So we've got some conditions here at the front. And then if I keep scrolling down, here are my approved documents. So if I zoom in here a little bit, scroll to the right, I might have some approval stamps. Conditions and notes typically are going to come in the form of markups on the plans and supporting documents. So if a condition or note has been added to a particular plan sheet or a supporting document page, you'll see it in the form of markups on your approved documentation as well. And so if a stamp's been applied to every sheet, you'll see it as we go through here. And then if your plans or your supporting document, similar to that question that Alex addressed earlier, have mixed sizes, you'll see those mixed sizes reflected in that final approved documentation. So with that, Tom, those are the main topics I wanted to hit in relation to the training for today. So now would be a good time if we do need to catch up on any questions, or if you wanted to hit any topics before we conclude today's training.
Sorry, I was just reading
Tom,
through.
yeah.
No, I think we're good. There's still 4 questions that I think I'll be able to answer in the question and answer session.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll turn it over to you for any other updates of what's to come here.
Yeah, give me just a second here to get myself organized. All right, so thank you, Seth, for the presentation. Again, I will be continuing the answers here, and then we will provide something after this session through email, perhaps a link to a list of the questions and answers on our website, or maybe direct answers. We haven't decided how that will look, but you will all get an email coming from us shortly, and there'll be a little survey that we'll have you fill out, tell us how we did today, and we can use that to help make our next session better. And so a couple of things that I wanted to cover in closing, and those are, there's a couple other changes that are coming in our process that come with the digital plan room. I addressed this a little bit in the question and answer session, but I'll get a little bit more detail there. And then also, this was also a question earlier in today's program where I'll cover what the implementation schedule is. And so let me cover the changes, the additional change that's coming with this. And so for those of you who have done business with Permit Sonoma for a while now and remember the days where applications were delivered in person and you filled out the paper application and you brought in the heavy rolled sets of plans with you and everything was all paper. Our process in our front lobby, I think, was particularly good at handling that situation. And while it may take a little time to get through the process, in most cases, when you came here with your application materials, you were able to get through all of the initial reviews and make it to the cashier, make your payment, and leave that day knowing that your application had been reviewed, it's complete, and it entered that plan check queue. And so it got in line to actually have the official plan review done. And that all happened, generally speaking, that day. With COVID and the implementation of this electronic process, that has not worked so well because we're not handling things with paper and in that physical world. It kind of slowed down that initial review process, and the time it now takes to get into the plan check queue has been greatly extended, and that was not our intention. And so it's something that our old physical process doesn't quite work so well in the electronic world. So one of the changes that's coming with this is that we will no longer send these electronic applications to that initial review before we collect payment. And so the payment is really the thing that gets you into the plan check queue. And so now what will happen is at application submittal, the permit tech will still do what they always did, making sure that the submittal documents and everything that you have put into your application is considered complete and it's ready to go to those reviews. But we will take payment at that point now. And so that will get your project in line for the plan check immediately once that payment is made. And so it essentially eliminates the need for that initial review, and then it goes back for a more detailed review in the plan check. We basically consolidated those two steps into a single step. And so hopefully this will see a huge improvement on the intake process and get you into that plan check queue a bit sooner. And so that's the big change that's coming with this, and that will be implemented on an application or a permit type basis as each permit type is implemented into the new digital plan room technology. And so what's that schedule look like? So currently today, we have 4 permit types that are already following this new digital plan room process. And the one that's probably most used today is the grading permit. And that was implemented, I believe, back in August. We implemented that. It was kind of the canary in the coal mine, our first one. And so it wasn't perfect when it first went live, and we've continued to improve and correct some of the things that became stumbling blocks along the way. But the grading permit is currently live and active on the digital plan room. Additionally, for our fire division, there's a fire construction permit that is live. The deferred submittal for fire sprinklers associated with a building permit is also live. So while the building permit itself isn't quite out there yet, if you are submitting a deferred submittal for fire sprinklers, that is going through the new digital room process. And then there's a newer fire permit for hazardous materials that is very specific to that community. And so that is also live. So those are the 4 that are currently live with the digital plan room. Coming this Monday, so in 4 days, we will go live with 2 additional building permit types. And again, we picked the 2 that are probably least used. And so this may not be all that exciting for many of you, but essentially what's happening on Monday is the stock plan will go live with the digital plan room. And so if you are submitting stock plans, you'll see these changes. And then the ag exempt permit type is also going live on Monday. And then we'll kind of get the cobwebs off of that and get that rolling. And then in the coming weeks, hopefully not too far in the distant future, 2, 3, maybe 4 at the most weeks, we will actually go live with the big bulk of our work, and that is the building permit with plan check. And associated with that is the revision record that comes with that, and then the additional deferred submittal for structural calculations. And so we hope by the beginning of May, we will have all of the building permit types that are going through the digital plan room active and live in this new process. Of course, the over-the-counter permits, things like re-roofs, demo permits, temporary permits, all of those things will remain unchanged because there is no plan review associated with those. So there is no reason to have them implement on a digital plan room process. So by the beginning of May, again, we will have all of the building permit types out there and live with the digital plan room process. Following that implementation, we will do the next grouping, and we intend to follow that with the various engineering permit types that are part of this process. So there's a couple of engineering permit types that will go live with that. And then once we've got the engineering permit types that are going out there, then we'll turn our attention to the well and septic world and get the well and the septic design record or permit types will go out there. And so you will see on our website more details around specific dates as those are developed. And so keep checking back on our Permit Sonoma website for those updates. But it's basically going to be kind of a staged rollout where we'll do a few at a time to make sure that things are working well. And we'll go from there. So I thank you all for attending today's program. Again, there will be another one on May 4th. And so if there's anybody that you think would benefit from seeing this, have them register for the May 4th session. And again, you'll see something coming in email shortly. So again, thanks to our panelists. Thank you, Seth, for the presentation, and the others for helping with the question and answer session. And we'll give you back